All right, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Hope everybody is having a good week. Having a good end to your week. Sound check is coming through cool for me on my end. All right, let's get into it. This may end up being somewhat of a rant session or event session to start off. Sierra's chart kind of rubbed me the wrong way this morning. As you can see, my quote board with, that's keeping track of my volume and stuff is kind of empty. And I don't know what so last night I updated to the previous version. Right before I did that, I updated all my my power range stuff and my drawings for all the different contracts that I have on my watch list, and everything was working fine. And I was getting my historical data and all that stuff, and then I updated it, but I didn't check it again. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, when this happened, but now I'm not able to update or get the historical data for any of my contracts outside of the CME exchange stuff. So I don't know if anybody else is trading with CQG out there and using Sierra chart, but that's the issue that kind of, got my trading session off to the wrong start. So I didn't really trade this morning. I took one trade and that was pretty much it. I mean, I had a pretty good week, so there's no need to really push it and trade in the, in the wrong, with the wrong emotional triggers. Just take that one trade. It was a one and done day. Wholesalers doing their thing, selling off some supply. But, they're not just doing it directly. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of feelings of being trapped this morning by the way that they're moving around price and they're moving around their inventory. But yeah, for me, it was it was just a one and done day for me. And I got to figure out, I don't even see, the thing was, I was just thinking, it's funny because I was just thinking about, posting some Sierra chart videos and on my different platforms and kind of, promoting them for free. And then, I wake up and get to my charts and then this happens. So, feeling a little bit indifferent about that, just to be honest. It's always something with Sierra chart. For a company to have like the best trading platform in the industry, in my personal opinion, I would think that they would kind of care about, customer satisfaction a little bit more. But I kind of get it also. It's kind of like the artist that puts out really good work, but then they've got such a good feedback that they don't really give a whole lot of attention to their fan base because of what they've done, just operating in their own space, if that makes sense. But anyway, enough about that. I think I got pretty much enough of that off my chest this morning. So right now, just looking at this, kind of zooming out from a daily perspective with NQ. We are kind of playing around some pivot levels on a daily perspective, some historical pivot levels on a daily perspective. We're pushing the lows for today's session, but like I kind of said earlier, we're not doing it right away. We'll push the low, then we'll move back inside of our store, back inside of a range. We'll find supply at higher prices, or we'll dump supply at higher prices, and then we'll start really, just letting go of supply. So that's been the story so far this morning. Funny how that works. Could be you're giving yourself a message, you would think, but this is the upside down. Yep, for sure. And that's exactly the sentiment that Sierra Charts puts off. It's just, well, I give you a good product, so I don't really care what you think about it. I know the product's good. I don't really care what you think outside of that. Just take the product as it is and stop complaining. Then you give the pushback to Sierra Chart where you could actually do better. But anyway. All right, we got an inventory around 370, down to around like 366ish. I got my PR minus 7 down there where we were finding support, or we were finding inventory. And then here's our push to lower prices, to the discounts. So another interesting thing that I observed this morning, and I've been observing for the last month or so, is there are certain time frames that they like to run the code, like run their programs, and one is randomly 9:45. I've seen a interesting volatility jump around 9:45 on random days. It's not that frequent, but every once in a while and that happened this morning where we had this random volatility spike at 9:45. there was nothing significant that we would usually see that kind of response on the economic calendar. You know, and then I don't see anything else out there that they could be using as the excuse for it. It's just random thing at 9:45, and then of course we had 10 o'clock Eastern time, where they like to, you know, get things moving at those time frames. And on that note, Origin, just reminded me of something I forgot to do. But I am going to, I got in my plans to put out this formula that I came up with not too long ago. And now this formula is based off of my strategy, but understanding the concept of this formula, I think is very valuable to anyone. And I created a channel on Rumble. I think it's rumble.com or whatever, but on Rumble's website. It's kind of a competitor for YouTube if you're not familiar with it. You can find a link to my channel on Rumble through the Discord. But I'm gonna put that on this concept, this formula. I'm gonna make a video of this formula and put that on Rumble for anybody that may be interested in checking that out. Whenever I get a free space to really sit down and make that video. So now we got new inventory around 350. Our previous area where we set up shop was above 370. So we'll see if we continue to dump supply. So now we're just running our mobile shop. We had a brief little wholesale range between 350 and 360. A 10-point range is popular for our mobile shop, especially for our mobile shop. Pushing down inventory, or pushing, well yeah, we're finding some inventory. We're picking up some inventory around at 340, right at the bear zone moon. Back inside the 350, 360 range. Could possibly be setting up shop here. We'll be looking to see how we react to that 340 area, which is our bear zone moon, the edge of our bear zone moon. Highly likely that we get a touch of that again. And then we picked up some more inventory there. There was a quick touch as soon as I said it. We are getting a response off of automation between 355 and 350. Right now, automation is at 350. Letting go of some supply there. And there we go, picked up inventory one more time, and now we're back to our main supply point for where we're setting up shop. So now we'll see if we're going to stay in. Now I'm looking to see if wholesale stays in the shop, or do we just, or do we go on a run? I call it run to market, but do they find balance and then they just take their inventory to higher prices? Because all of this has created value at higher prices if they decide to let their inventory go. Which kind of leads us to like the key. It's another thing I meant to put out to mention this morning. I put it out all over my other platforms, but except the Discord, I be forgetting about Discord sometimes. That we have Powell set for this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and usually we have some in the mornings when we have FOMC afternoons or Powell doing something in the afternoon. We'll have a period of a little bit of volatility and things will slow down, and then the wholesalers just work their orders, especially on a Friday. Friday they want to close out their business, on a positive note. They want to get their business done as quickly as possible, and then just spend the rest of the day just working orders. And they may be saving a little bit of that for the Powell thing. Only time will tell, but it seems like we're entering into that time period to where things begins to slow down a bit. Because the energy has definitely subsided slightly from my perspective. We did mark up inventory a bit. We're still working these orders within this. It's about a 20 to 30 point range that we're working these orders in. Right now, looking at our inventory around 350. Still picking up inventory there. We are still holding this markup phase. Back to supply, pushing supply higher. Or a better way to say that is we're letting go supply at higher prices, but slightly. Then we're gonna go right back inside of my mobile shop. So at this point, I just, when I see wholesale just working their orders like this, I just kind of sit back and watch, and I just pay attention to previous inventory and supply, and I just kind of, let them do whatever they want to do in between that. And I make my trading decisions based off the edges. Now I'm looking at an automation range where we are getting a response. For simplicity, I'm just going to call it between 356 and 352. All right, so that was a strong push outside of our mobile shop. Let's see if wholesale goes on a run. Also, when wholesale is doing their thing like this, I think about what I typically hear from the average retail trader. And right now, I would be able to, a lot of people will say like this kind of price action is untradeable. But of course that's subjective. This was, for me personally, there was a lot of trades in here that I could have taken advantage of had I still been, active, or if I'd have kept my session going in terms of being active in the markets. So the reason why that's even relevant for me to say is you just gotta trust yourself. So whatever you see, regardless of what other people say, usually when people are finding it the most challenging to place trades, that's when I find my best setups. And I say that because it took a long time for me to break down the barriers that I had created by listening to other people. Now, I was able to pick up a lot of valuable information from those other people, but then there comes a point where you got to strip away the challenging part in that is stripping away the things that don't really serve you. The lessons that you get from other people, you got to be able to strip away what doesn't serve you, and then get to the point to where you can take that knowledge that you gain from other people and apply it to who you are as a person, and then take your perspective and trust your perspective from that point. And then it's experience, and then you're working on your skills and all of that stuff. But as soon as really you're getting the fundamentals, or the typical way of you're getting the basics of how this area or this environment functions from other people, and then you're using your vision, your perspective to fine tune that for how you want to operate within that environment. So once you get the basics of how this environment works, the sooner you can get to trusting yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, but the sooner you can get to trusting yourself and be confident in that, the sooner you'll get to the consistency that you're looking for, based off my personal experience. Developing strategies for me was always a simple thing to do. I was able to develop working strategies from the beginning. As soon as I understood the foundation of how this environment works. But the challenge that I had was trusting myself, because a lot of times it conflicted with what I was hearing from other, you know, successful traders. Other people with, you know, a respected opinion in this environment. And it's not that they're wrong or they're trying to scam you. They're just giving you their perspective based off of what they, you know, what they've been through and what they believe in and all that stuff. So that works for them. It could work for you, but what's going to work for you is, you know, holding the frequency of who you are and then applying it to everything else. And that's, you know, that's not with trading, that's with everything. Gonna take this time to mark off some triggers. From a 1 minute perspective, the strategy that I put out in that with that course, the triggers were pretty simple today. Mostly after that 945 volatility jump. Until we got to the point where I mentioned things seem to be slowing down in preparation for our exciting afternoon. This should be yellow. So the way that I'm looking at wholesale from now, we've kind of opened up our shop. So we're kind of tricky with the inventory side of it. Our inventory is actually 360 to around 350. Just from a short-term perspective, the way that I'm looking at it. And then we have supply, also in a somewhat of a 10-point range between 380 and 390. If I was to trade this, then I would be leaning heavily on what I defined for my risk management. my execution would be important to make sure I manage the risk. My risk management is applied appropriately. So our current inventory is at 360. Of course, in a range, in a small range. There was a front run of that, as I said that. And from my perspective on watching this structure, which I call closing the window, where we're working orders in this tight range, and the range keeps closing and closing and closing, getting smaller until they finally decide to take inventory or supply outside of that range and give us a significant push before we find our next pivot point. Hit inventory in a slingshot fashion, back into automation, where we're seeing a brief pause. So that slingshot pushed us into supply, which is also our overnight session low. Dumping supply up there as we had a brief markup of supply. Be looking to see if we make it back to inventory. Still getting a response at automation, which is hanging around my PR -7, 367.5. So if we don't make it back to inventory and we keep pushing supply higher, that would kind of tell me that we are briefly done with this range. But of course, we don't want to get stuck in binary thoughts. So the other side of that would be to not be done with this range and go back to inventory, catch an inventory response, and then not getting caught into a binary thought process, understanding that everything in between that could happen. For myself, I'm only defining 2 scenarios that I would look to be executing on. And on that note, I think that brings us to a good point to where we can go ahead and call it a weekend or call it a week and bring my session to a close. Appreciate everybody for coming through as usual. Anything that you would like to see from me, go ahead and leave that in the comment section after this. If you watch this after the fact, or once I end the stream, you want to put that in the comment section, you can always hit me up on Discord. And then of course, don't forget to check me out on Rumble, where I'm going to start putting some content up that's only going to be on Rumble. Mainly because they don't have a lot of censorship over there for now. So with all that being said, hope everybody have a good weekend. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Trade it easy.
Today is the best days of your life.